Was sworn in as the nation's 46th president. Since his first day in office, President Biden has been focused on getting the pandemic under control and restoring the nation's economy. So far, he signed more executive orders and memorandums than the last three presidents within his first month. The president and Democratic leaders have been pushing Biden's $1.9 trillion COVID relief package. Well, the president has been aggressive, like we just mentioned, in getting to work since taking office. We here at BNC are dedicated to tracking his first 100 days for Black America. He's tackled health care, the pandemic, immigration, tightening international relations, you name it. Well, FAMU international law professor Dr. Jeremy Levitt is with us now to talk about this. Dr. Levitt, it's good to see you.
Great to be with you.
So President Biden says he signed dozens of executive orders not to make new law, but to eliminate bad policy. What do you think about this statement, and how would you rate his first month so far?
Well, anytime a president acts by executive order, he is signing new law. It might be retroactive in the sense that it's doing away with bad law set by the Trump administration, but it is setting new law and precedent. And I think they've been busy. My only concern thus far is the commitments and issues that were promised to African Americans. For example, addressing the coronavirus for those who had vulnerabilities, who had pre-existing conditions. There was even talk of minorities getting some kind of preferential status in the issuing of the vaccine. I haven't seen that yet. I haven't seen anything specific targeted toward urban communities in the way that I'd like. But 100 days is a short period of time, and we just have to keep him honest with his commitments to African Americans, who are really responsible for his ascendancy to the presidency.
And my next question to you, do you think much has been done for Black people in this first month?
Well, I think it's hard to show evidence that there has been a lot that's been done. I think that he has a huge rose garden to untangle. So just dealing with what Donald Trump has done is progress, meaning that reversing some of the very negative domestic and foreign policy orders that he instituted is critical. But we'll see what happens with this new stimulus bill. We'll see what he does on foreign affairs, particularly with respect to the G7. And then with African Americans specifically, we have needs that are unique in the population, whether it's coronavirus, whether it's high unemployment, whether it's development in our communities. There was even talk of reparations. We have a history of crimes committed against us that have gone unresolved. We hear one there with Malcolm X. Maybe the name J. Edgar Hoover needs to come down from the FBI building. The point is that there are specific needs that we have, and the Biden administration has made certain commitments. We have to hold them responsible for those, including a broader discussion of reparations, perhaps adopting H.R. 40, which of course was authored by John Conyers, just to study the question of reparations, and hasn't gotten through committee.
And so really quickly, the president spoke globally for the first time at the G7 summit. He talked about a number of challenges the nation now faces internationally, but he mentioned making these changes would require a close cooperation between the U.S. and Western allies. How important are these relationships?
Well, the G7 is a group that includes Britain, Canada, France, Germany, Italy, Japan, and the United States. And essentially right now, our biggest issues is global proliferation of violence, climate change, cybersecurity. He really targeted his comments toward Russia and China during the G7 talk, who really pose the greatest existential threats for Western democracy. He's come bearing gifts with $4 billion global coronavirus vaccine. He's re-entered us back into the Paris Climate Accord. He's re-entering our membership into the World Health Organization. China has the second largest economy in the world. It's ignoring international standards. It's on a path of unilateralism, both in terms of the military force and espionage that's damaging. It's using companies and weaponizing them against American corporate interests. And so, and also really abusing new technologies like artificial intelligence, not including what are massive human rights abuses against the Uyghur population, who they're sending to re-education camps and using violence against these people in China. Russia has some of the same issues of corruption, democratization, the unilateral use of force. undermining democracy through espionage and covert campaigns of influence. So with all of that, these are threats that we can no longer ignore. And when we add Iran to the list, the Biden administration seems to have its eye on the ball.